Hi, welcome back. Today we'll be practicing a restorative sequence. In Iyengar Yoga, we practice restorative. We'll have a separate class just for restorative. And usually we'll hold the poses for quite a long time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Because we're doing this online, I won't hold it as long, but any of these poses in this sequence you can take, and when you just need to relax a bit, or you're having a lot of mental stress and fatigue, body fatigue, your body's worn out, or you're mentally been working all day on the computer, you can take any of these and kind of string them together and do, 20, 30 minutes, an hour, and then hold them longer. Hold them 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and you can use props to help you stay longer. We know that the body and the mind are linked, so there are many reasons for doing restorative. If you're mentally fatigued, you'll do one sequence. If you're physically fatigued, another sequence. So today I'll just kind of combine a couple different types so that you can mix and match as you choose. All right, so you'll have a bolster and 1 or 2 blankets, can have a block, have a chair, and just gather whatever you have at home that might be helpful if you have pillows, or if you have towels, if you don't have blankets, something that you can roll to support yourself in various ways. So just getting that together, I will get mine and we'll meet you on the mat here. Before we get started, if you enjoy this video and find it helpful, please give it a like. And if you're new to my channel, subscribe and don't forget to click the bell so that you are notified when the new videos are uploaded. Now let's get started. So we'll start first with the bolster. So you'll take your bolster lengthwise. Our spine will sit in the front of the bolster and we'll lay back over the bolster. I'm going to take an extra blanket for my head. And I am going to use one extra blanket here. I'll just have it handy in case I need it. All right, and then I want to have a strap, which I have here. So the strap is going to go around the waist. All right, so you can just go ahead and put that on. And when you come down, this is Supta Konasana. So we've done this quite a bit. So you're probably familiar. You bring the strap right around your lower back and then have the strap so that you're pulling it towards you. You want to bring your feet in, not too far at first. You want to be comfortable. You want to be able to stay in the pose for a while. And you can also pull it closer so the feet come closer once you're down. So have enough space for yourself. Take your hands down and lift your hips up. And you'll put your lower back, so you start to move down over the bolster. So the spine is right in the center, and you're moving from the bottom to the middle to the top. And then you can place that blanket, place it right at the top of the shoulders. Now, I didn't show this, so in case it's too much for you here, which we're going to hold it a little bit longer, so you can always have a blanket, roll the blanket, you can have a couple blocks, whichever you have handy, and I'm going to put the blanket just to the side here, so it gives me a little bit of cushioning there on my outer legs. All right, so in case anyone needs that extra support, you take that. You can have a couple pillows, you can have a couple blocks, whatever you need. So as you come down now, your shoulders are able to draw down a little bit further because your shoulders are wider than the bolster, which provides opening for the chest. And the bolster is broad so that the whole back body is able to lie on that bolster comfortably. And that helps to release all the muscles in the back, lower back. Make sure that you lift your hips and tilt the pelvis, so you can even take your hands, your thumbs at the top of the hips and draw the hips down so you have some space in your lower back. And then adjust as you need to with that blanket or the cushions, and then just allow yourself to be there. So here, if you've been tired, fatigued, your body's been fatigued, this will feel very nice, a nice way to relax the muscles, relax the bones, and just allow whatever comes, come. So whether it's the mind that's been working too hard, whether it's the eyes from the computer, you can always take an eye bag and place the eye bag over your eyes, or you could even, if you have an extra belt, just to bring the belt over the eyes so that you're not disturbed by any light. Sometimes I will even, if I had an extra blanket, I'm going to take this away just to show you. If I have an extra blanket, I'll take the blanket over my eyes and then over my ears. So that way I'm able to kind of make a little bit of a cocoon for myself. We'll be holding this pose for 5 minutes. So I'll be setting a timer and I'll let you know when it's time to come out. So just be there, relax completely, and let go. Just paying attention to your breath. Let your breath release. I'll take the blanket off now. And preparing to come up, bring your hands onto the floor. And come up from the back first. Head comes up last. And sit upright. And take the strap off. And bring the strap to your side. All right, now cross your legs, Sukhasana. We'll be going back over the bolster. You can use that blanket again. If that wasn't supportive enough, or if you didn't need it, don't use it, or you can use blocks. All right, so here, make sure the bolster is supporting your lower back, so you're bringing it right up to the lower back. Depending on the size of your bolster, adjust yourself along the bolster. All right, so just allow the knees and thighs to descend. And again, relax the arms, relax the chest. If you have something for your eyes, you can take that. So you can just be here, and I'll let you know when to come up. It'll be about another 5 minutes. So I know we're not used to staying and holding a pose for so long, so just know that I'll come get you. I'll let you know when to come up. Relax your face, your throat. Relax the jaw. And your tongue. Anything that has to do with speaking. Even internal dialogue. Let your eyes be heavy. Softening the lids. Let the outer eyes descend down. Bring your attention to your breath. Allowing your thoughts to come and go. When you notice you're having thoughts, just come back to the breath. Change the cross on the legs. and come up. So now we'll go into Supta Virasana. You can have one bolster or two bolsters. If it's difficult for you to sit on the floor, then you can sit on the bolster. Sitting in Virasana, either the feet on the hips on the floor or the hips on the bolster, depending on your body. And then you'll come down, you'll tilt the pelvis. And I put another bolster under here because when you're sitting on the bolster, you're going to need a little extra height. So you can build that up as much as you need to. You can even put blocks under there to raise it up a bit higher. And then coming down. We won't stay in this one too long because this one can be a little bit more difficult. So just go into it. Tailbone moving down, lower back supported. Thighs are lengthening. And just release your arms to the side. If your arms are lifted off the floor too much, you can have support building up with blankets. So the arms are resting. And then we'll just stay here for a few minutes. I'll let you know when we're coming out. So just be here, lengthening the legs, the backs of the legs toward the knees. So there's extension there. And just allow the chest to rest, back body to rest. Resting in the breath. All right, we'll come up out of this now. Bring your hands down onto the floor and come up. And of course, you can stay in any of these longer. So just making a note of what we're doing so that you can come back to them when you have more time. So now just bring your legs wide, and I want you to bring the bolster in. So it's coming right up to the inner thighs. And from here, you're going to lie over that bolster. If you need more height, let's say you come forward and it's difficult for you to go down with your legs and your hips, then you can keep this lower bolster and just bring your arms to the end of this bolster and rest your head. Okay, so the idea is you want the abdomen resting on the bolster. So this is kind of nice to just relax the abdomen and then let the back body spread. And I've got my forehead on my arms to keep my nose from being pressed down so I can breathe here. Let your arms relax down, let your shoulders relax. And as you begin to release, feeling the abdomen on the bolster, which is a nice feeling along the lower back. So if you've been sitting a lot and you've had fatigue from that, this will be a nice way to bring more circulation into your lower back. Some more broadness and relief to all the muscles along the back. We'll stay in this for about 2 to 3 minutes, so just stay and I'll let you know when we're ready to come out. Be aware of your breath. Let's keep it soft, relaxed. You want your lower back to release down here. If your lower back is not releasing, you could have had something underneath your hips, on your heels, to fill in that extra gap. And if you need that, you can change the cross on your arms now. Feel if you're holding anywhere, you're lifting yourself. Just let yourself completely release down into the bolster. And then coming up, take your hands, you can press into that bottom bolster and come up. And again, we'll use the bolsters, we'll go into downward facing dog. And depending on your downward dog, you'll either use one bolster or two bolsters to support your head. So here I have one. I'm going to come up into downward dog, pressing the hands down onto the floor, and release the head down into the bolster. So you can move the bolster up a little bit. You want to have the forehead on the bolster, and the skin of the forehead is moving down, not up. So up is going to be activating, down it will be relaxing. And then when you go into downward dog, if that was too far for you to go down, you can even try, having a block. You can have an extra pillow, whatever you need, so that your head is resting on that support. Okay? So if you need to build up that height more, you can build it up. That's too high for me, as you can see, so I'm just going to take the support of the bolster and have the space right between the eyebrows supported. Keep the arms lengthening so the organs of action, the arms and the legs, are supporting me to release the head, to release the brain, to quiet the mind. And we'll begin to come up now, so walk your feet forward. Have your feet hips distance apart. And you can have the bolster for Uttanasana. You can bring your arms down and rest your arms, and then release your head down. Have your weight so that you're moving towards your toes, but you're on your heels. So you don't want to be leaning back, but you want the head, the crown of the head, facing the floor as much as possible. We'll stay here for just a little bit. I'll let you know when we're coming up. Keep the feet well grounded and lift up through the legs. As you release the side of the trunk, just let the body come down with gravity. Keep your breath soft. and then coming up. Take the bolster and bring the bolster to the side. So I'm just going to show you, in case that was too difficult for you, you can have the blanket on the chair and just come forward. Now change the cross on your arms, come forward and rest your head again. So you have options, but your head is resting, your brain is resting, and your breath is relaxed. So just staying. I'll let you know when we're coming up. Engage in the rhythm of the breath so that you can feel that. Just let that gentle movement that you can feel in your belly help you to relax the mind. All right, and then we'll come up. You can move your chair. And now we'll take 2 bolsters. And we're going to cross the bolster. Many times we'll be doing inversions, headstand, but I won't do headstand with you. I'm not there to help you and correct you, so we'll do this, which will be an inversion, a back bend, and it will give you that similar effect because the head will be moving down. So you start with your hips on the bolster, feet on the floor, and start to slide down so that the head is going to be resting on the floor. If it's too far down, you can have a blanket. If that's uncomfortable, you could have the blanket there. But if you can, bring the head onto the floor. And you can either keep your knees bent, you can bring the feet into Baddha Konasana, or you can straighten the legs. So do what feels comfortable, either straight legs, Baddha Konasana, or the feet bent. So pushing that blanket aside so I don't feel that. We'll stay here for a few minutes. So just allow your body to open over the bolsters and descend down with gravity. Continuing to pay attention to your breath. When our mind is left alone, many times we have thoughts that are coming and going. So just try to release from those thoughts by bringing your attention back to your breath. If you've had your legs straight, you can now bring them to Baddha Konasana. If you had them in Baddha Konasana, straighten them out. So we'll stay one more minute. Just let your body take the shape of the bolster, allowing the same to happen with the breath. And now bring the feet back onto the mat. And slide your shoulders off the bolster by pressing the feet. And then roll onto your side and press yourself up. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Next will be Viparita Dandasana. So you'll use the chair and you'll have your bolster. So bring the chair onto the mat. Actually, we're going to use the chair at the wall so you can change the direction here. Have the chair back facing the wall, and you can take some support. You can take a couple blocks to the wall and have your bolster behind you. Okay, and one blanket or your mat on the seat of the chair. Okay, so now just have an extra blanket if you need it near you. Or near you if in case you need it. How about that? All right, so you never know what you're going to need when you're going down. You'll get there and think, oh, I might need an extra blanket, or I want to change this up a bit. So just have enough around you that you can grab it. Okay, so you're going to step into the chair. And I can see the chair is a little bit too far to the left. I'll take it a little bit over. So I'm going to be bringing my feet up onto the chair. To come into this, I'm bringing my hips down. That's why I like to use a mat here. Since I'm using the blanket, it will do, but the main point is you want your hips to be descending down. You don't want this to be lifting up. So press your hips down, and then bring your feet up onto that block, and you're going to be going down, and your head will be on the bolster. So I can already tell my chair needs to come further away because I'm going to straighten my legs. So you can't just measure by bringing your leg here and moving this way, because once you get the arch of the back, you might find that you're a little bit too close to the wall. So just measure your distance, try, see where you are, see where you end up. I want to have my shoulder blades coming just off the edge. Okay, so I'm still too close. Now I'll move the bolster out. All right, so I bring the hips in again. So now the shoulder blades are just off the chair. Bringing my legs up onto the blocks. Okay, so I can feel my lower back is descending. If you have a very long trunk, you're going to have to come out a little bit further. And then I'm going to bring my head down. So I can see my head is not going to go onto the bolster. All the bolsters are a little bit different size, chairs are a little bit different size. So I have a blanket there, and I'm going to bring the crown onto that blanket. So you're taking your arms under. If you're quite broad, you can take your hands just to the sides. And I'm still a little bit too close, so I'm bringing the shoulder blades a little bit further forward. So you'll feel that. You want to have the shoulder blades so that you're just below the shoulder blades, chest is lifted, and then release here. So the legs are actively moving toward the wall and descending. And then if you feel comfortable in that position, you can bring your arms over and cross the elbows and just enjoy being in this prone inversion back bend. Okay, so because the back bends are a nice way to bring more oxygen into the respiratory system. It helps with the breath. It also, with being in inversion, helps to release and relax the heart and just allow the heart to relax a little bit and the brain to become quiet. So I've taken my legs high, so there's no strain on my back. You can always build up your legs, build up your feet a little bit higher, in case you're getting any kind of compression in your back, but if you keep them pretty much level with your hips, you should be fine. Again, bring your attention back to your breath. So you're not active in the pose, but the legs are straight. And the thighs are moving down toward the floor with gravity. We'll stay here for another couple of minutes. You can change the cross on the arms. Continue to come back to your breath, especially when you find yourself lost in thought. And then you bring the feet down, preparing to come up. Because if you've got your hips out of the chair quite a bit, you want to press into the feet, move your hips back onto the chair, and then use your feet and your arms, lift yourself up. Come just to a seated position. Just let your back round just a bit, and then coming back up. Sitting there with your breath. Okay, so we'll come out of the chair. And we'll set up for Ardha Halasana. So I'm going to leave this blanket on the chair. We're going to set up a little bit different way so that we turn the chair around. All right, and then we'll use the bolster for the shoulders. So your shoulders will be on the bolster, and then you'll bring your legs over onto the chair. So depending on the length of your chair, of your legs, of your torso, you may need to build this up. So you could take a couple blankets, build it up, or you may be just fine. I'm going to bring the bolster behind me also, so that in case you have trouble lifting up, we're going to use the wall and we'll have the hips on the bolster. Okay? So again, I probably don't need this extra blanket, but just have props near you so that you can adjust. Once you've done this a few times, you'll know what you need. So coming down, you can bring your legs up on the wall. So I have my shoulders right on the bolster. My hips are also on the bolster, and now with the feet pressing into the wall, I'm going to press my arms down and lift my hips up. Okay. From here, I'll bring one leg over. I'm going to use my hands to press down into the bolster so that I can lift and bring the legs over. Okay, just show you that again. So there's a little bit of a lift up. So I'm pressing with one foot and I'm pushing so the leg comes over on the chair. And then I bring the thighs right up, as far up to the front of the chair as I can, and just relax your arms. So my neck is supported, my thighs are supported, my trunk is long, and it's a nice inversion with the legs completely relaxed. If you have a weight, you can also hang the weight on your feet. So because I'm so far in the chair, I'm able to have the weight on the feet naturally. If I was in like this and the hips were further out, it would be more the weight is moving this way. So the more you can move the legs forward, the more you can move your feet as kind of like a counterbalance, the more you'll feel completely stable. Now, I used one blanket, but you could use a bolster on top of the chair if you needed extra height. If you were much longer than I was and your hips are up here, then you put the bolster there. Okay, so we'll stay here. Again, like the others, I'll let you know when we're coming out. If this is not comfortable with the knees, with the feet through the chair, you can just have the legs on the chair like this and have the feet resting on the back of the chair. All right, and with that, you feel the weight on your shoulders and not so much on your neck. So adjust yourself accordingly. So if you feel any pressure in your neck, then maybe you just have to move your shoulders a little further forward so that the shoulders are heavy and the pressure is not taken in the neck. Observe your breath. And just allow your body to be completely supported. In this position, we're in the neck is in the chest, is in Jaladhara Bandha, one of the locks that we use for several poses, but also moving us toward pranayama. So begin to listen to your breath and feel the narrowed throat passage, the breath moving in that area. In a quiet flow. All right, so you can bring the legs out one at a time. Just walk them closer to the edge. Holding onto the chair with your hands, bring one foot back to the wall and then the other foot, and release your hips down. You can slide the chair away. Keep your hips on the ground. Stretch your arms. And then press yourself off the bolster. Let your shoulders be on the floor. And just extend the legs. So you're pressing the heels into the wall. And that bolster's in a place in your middle and lower back. Just either with the legs straight or the knees bent. Just be there just for a few breaths. All right, and so now you're going to roll onto your right side and press yourself up. Okay. Now, one thing I didn't mention, but just make note of, if you were having your cycle, you wouldn't go upside down like that. So you could just take the bolster and lay back over the bolster with your legs straight. If you were having your cycle. All right, so just moving the chair. We can all come down into this, so be on your bolster. We'll just stay here for a few minutes. So again, the chest is lifted, the legs are straight. And then bend your knees and roll onto your side. So now we'll take our bolster and go to the wall. So I'm going to take the bigger bolster. You can have a block. The reason we put the block there is just so there's a little bit of space. So when I put my hips here, I actually want to have my hips coming here and descending down so that the legs are able to move down. And so you'll see what I'm talking about when I go into it. This is Viparita Karani. You'll only need one bolster. So I'm going to move all of this out to the side. I am going to strap my legs. So because we're doing a restorative pose, or more restorative than normal Viparita Karani, we're going to hold it a little bit longer. You can take the strap around the thighs. about midway. If you have 2 straps, you can bring 1 strap around the calves as well, but we'll just use 1 strap for today. I'm not sure which props you have. You don't have to use a strap, but it just brings a little bit more relaxation. Now, depending on your bolster, if it's a softer bolster, if it's a lower bolster, you can build the bolster up like this by taking a blanket on top to build it up. Okay, so depending on the props you have, again, adjusting the size and the height, dimensions accordingly. All right, so now I'm starting on the end of the bolster. So there's a way to get into this so you don't slide off and you end up in the middle. So you have to start on the side, and then you're going to roll the legs up and then lift up and just move your hips right into the center. Okay? And now the shoulders prevent you from sliding off. So I'm going to roll the shoulders under, move the hips in, move the legs close to the wall, and then I can strap the legs a little bit tighter. If you have any weight, you can bring the weight onto your feet. It's nice, especially if you've been standing a lot. This will help to bring that release to your lower back again, softness to the abdomen. And when there's softness in the abdomen, there's softness in the throat. And you're able to feel the breath much better. The breath comes easier. So with that extra weight of the legs, just with gravity, you're already going to feel that openness of the breath in the lower belly. So just staying here with the shoulders tucked under, providing that break for your shoulders so that your hips descend down. Viparita Karani. Viparita Karani is a still lake. So imagining there's this area here is a body of water between your hip bones and your lower ribs. And that area is flat and still. So bringing that stillness, that idea of stillness and balance as you stay in this pose. Again, we'll be here for a little bit, 3 to 5 minutes. So just adjust yourself and bring your attention into your breath. Thoughts will come and go. Not holding on to any of them. When you realize that, just come back to your breath. can bend your knees. And you release the strap. Take the strap on the widest, so it's completely open. And take your feet into the strap. If you're having your cycle, this is how you would practice, with your feet wide. So you're able to extend the legs. If you have a longer strap and you can take the legs further, then you can use that. Or you can use two straps and strap one together to make a wider loop. But for here and now, this is be fine for us. So you're giving more space to the pelvis, more breath and more width. We'll stay here for about a minute. Coming back to the breath. And then you'll bend your knees. You can take the strap. And then slide your hips off the bolster. And just take the legs into Baddha Konasana, feet on the bolster, and the thighs are now supported on the bolster. Like we started, when we started with the blanket underneath the bolster, or underneath our legs to support the thighs. So we'll stay here for another minute. Just allowing the lower back to lengthen. Legs supported. Be aware of the movement of the breath with the legs open in this open body position. And then bring your knees towards one another. Roll over onto your right side and press yourself up. Then you can take a blanket, sit on the blanket. Have a little bit of height for your hips. And you can either, we're going to straighten our legs for Paschimottanasana. You can either have the chair and rest your head on the chair. I'll just move down. Or you can have straight legs. Or you can bring the bolster on your legs. So depending on your body condition and what you're able to do, you can come forward, rest your head. Or if you've been practicing a while, and you can bring yourself down a little bit further, with the forearms on the bolster, bring your head down. We'll stay here for a few minutes. So lengthening the legs, descend the thighs, and let the head rest. Let the brain rest down. Again, be aware of the breath through the abdomen. So you're spreading the abdomen back toward the lower back. As you're there a while, maybe you'll come down a little bit further. So adjust yourself. And then you'll come up. And since we have so many props around us, you can use all those props in Shavasana. All right, so making them a little bit smaller, you can have, if you have 2 bolsters, you can use both bolsters. I'm going to use bolster in the blankets and then bring a block on top. So the idea is I want this to be right at the top of the thighs. So it's bringing weight onto my legs. Of course, save a blanket if you need the blanket for the head. If you're not sure, just adjust your shoulders till they're flat and then lengthen the back of the head. If the chin is still popping up, then take one of your blankets underneath their head so that the chin is moving more towards your chest. So it seems like that, but it's really the chest is moving toward the chin and the neck is lengthening. And just relax the legs, relax the arms, coming into Shavasana. And Shavasana will hold longer. So you can hold Shavasana about 10 minutes. So I'll just allow you to be in Shavasana and then just allow you to come out of it naturally when you do. So just completely let go, completely release, feel the body spread. So I'll allow you to stay in Shavasana as long as you like. Relaxing the arms down, relaxing the legs down. Just taking this time, a little bit of extra time in Shavasana. Just letting go. Just find the rhythm of the breath. And as if you were inviting a guest in, they've come to your house, they're at your door. Greet your inhalation as you would that guest. And then walk in with the breath, like you would with the guest. And then when it's time to go, follow the breath out. So greeting the breath, being with the breath, and then saying goodbye to the breath as you exhale. So allowing and softening until you finally let go altogether. Just allow the breath to breathe you. Allowing the breath to soften you, to soften your heart. And I'll see you in the next class. I hope you enjoyed that class as much as I did. If you would like to have another class that's similar, but especially for ladies that are having their cycle, so there's no inversions, go to the class on menstruation. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, that class has got plenty there for both men and women. So I invite you to check it out. Okay? Any questions or comments? Just leave them in the section below and I will be sure to get back to you. All right? Namaste.